Telephone services have been dismantled in many parts of the southern Bahamas from Hurricane Joaquin. CEO of the Bahamas telecommunications company Leon Williams informed us by telephone earlier today about the extent of the damage to BTC's property on some of the southern and central islands.
As you stated earlier, flights so that we could do a flyover, number one, to get some technicians into some of the affected islands. Out of Nassau, we had hoped to go out at 1 o'clock this morning, 1 o'clock this afternoon, but the only available airports to us right now would be the Exuma, and we're not having that many problems in Exuma. Major islands that are being affected are in Cricket Island, where we would have lost the roof for our generator room and one of our cable stations. In Auckland, we would have lost one of our towers. We are hoping that the antennas still remain. Deadman's Key, Williamstown, Emerson Towers in Long Island. We've lost towers, 3 towers in Long Island. So the reconnaissance team is on island, is giving us the report. We're just trying to figure out what we need to do to get assets back into those islands so that we can start the restoration.
Mr. Williams also confirmed how BTC will prioritize its efforts to restore services, as well as an estimate on the monetary value of the damage sustained.
Long Island would be the major island because it connects many of the islands south of Long Island. So in order to get those islands up and running, Ragged Island, Acklands and those islands up and running, we need to get Long Island straight first. The damage is extensive. And as you stated, it is too early to give a monetary value to the damages because most of the damages we have not yet been able to contact some technicians. And in cases like this, like Long Island and in the case of Acklands, Ragged Island, Magonas, and Salvador, technicians are still having challenges reaching to the various sites to assess the damages.
The restoration of power throughout the affected islands is a major priority during the storm recovery process. General Manager of the Bahamas Electricity Corporation, Kevin Basin, says while they've gotten the clearance to conduct assessments, he admitted there are still some challenges.
While the all clear has been issued, there are still some communication challenges at 1 or 2 family islands. There are situations where we do have communications, but our staff have some limitations in being able to move around for flooding, in particular Long Island. Whereas we have made contact with the manager down there. He is in the Deadman's Key area, and his ability to move around is limited due to flooding. What we can say is that in Exuma, the majority of the customers remained on and are on. We are carrying out some work in the Roll Town area as well as the Steventon area. The Keys, San Key, and Black Point, they are fine as well. Ragged Island, we do have a line down there. If we get the all clear for a flight to leave and be able to fly into Ragged Island, we would send a team there to effect repairs in terms of that. On Cat Island, we have been able to restore supplies to the north circuit or the north feeder. There's a pole that's being worked on the south feeder. Once we get that sorted out, we want to work on that as well. As it relates to some of the other islands, we do know we have some pole damage in Long Island, but like I said, an assessment still needs to be carried out, but we do have some limitations due to flooding and other challenges.
Now, Basin also offered this advice for homeowners who experienced severe flooding.
Any building that's been submerged due to water, they need to ensure that the main switch is open in the off position, as well as the breaker switch on. Such structures would have to be examined before any power can be turned on to them.
Are you noticing, or are you recognizing now that with this initial assessment that you will need assistance from CARELAC?
We have not been able to say that at this point in time. We should hopefully know when we get some further information in. Then we would know whether or not external assistance would be needed. But CARELAC is on standby. In addition to my communicating with CARELAC, the official body, I've communicated with 2 of the CEOs from countries in the Middle East area, who are also on standby. So it's too early to say that, but hopefully later today or by tomorrow, we would be in a better position to know.
Airline services are back to normal at the Lynden Pindling International Airport following hurricane warnings yesterday. Services ended at 2 o'clock on Friday but resumed this morning. The national flag carrier also resuming its scheduled flights with the exception of those islands that were impacted by the storm. Bahamas Air's Senior Manager of Public Relations, Phyllis Johnson, explains.
We've done our due diligence and our operations for the northern and central Bahamas, that would be all of our Florida gateways, Freeport, Marsh Harbor, all airports in Eleuthera and Havana and the Exumas. Of those islands, our staff are in place and we are going to resume regular service to those destinations. All other destinations, all other airports that have been impacted by Hurricane Joaquin, we will not resume service to them until the Ministry of Transport and NEMA has given the all clear that the infrastructure, the runway, and the airport are sound. We take safety very seriously, and so we're going to wait for the all clear, and then we will resume service to those destinations.
The Department of Civil Aviation confirmed the reopening of the following Family Island airports in Exuma, Morristown, Black Point, and Farmers Key, North Eleuthera, Governors Harbor, and Rock Sound. The Marsh Harbor, Treasure Key, Sandy Point, and Morris Island airports in Abaco, in Andros, the Andros, San Andros, Fresh Creek, Clarence, Abane, and Congo Town, Cat Islands, Arthurstown, and New Bight airports, Great Harbor Key in the Barry Islands, and the airports in South Bimini, Inagua, Mayaguana, San Salvador, and Stella Maris, Long Island. The Ministry of Finance advises the public that where disaster relief operations are carried out by charitable and nonprofit organizations, provisions exist under the Value Added Tax Act for exemptions and refund of VAT expenses. Charities must register online and obtain a tax identification number and must ensure that the TIN is quoted on all local expense receipts. All donations of relief supplies shipped from outside the Bahamas are eligible for exemptions of both the VAT and customs duties once advanced notice and documentation is given to the Ministry of Finance or the request is sanctioned by NEMA. Where charities incur direct expenses on relief supplies or charter operations, they can apply to the VAT department for refunds. However, those refunds cannot be provided to private individuals for goods donated to charities, whether purchased or used. Finance officials say where monies are donated, the relief organizations qualify for the VAT fund when they use these funds. Now, to avoid being victims of fraudulent schemes, the Ministry of Finance strongly recommends that persons donating to relief organizations have proof that the organization has a tax identification number. The Bahamas Red Cross Society is already beginning to collect supplies for residents hit by the storm. Director General Caroline Turncrest highlighted the immediate needs of the society.
We know that the one thing they're going to need is food and water. We've already had some partners step forth and pledge to donate water. Caribbean Bottling, Coca-Cola has done that to provide water for all of the islands. And we've also had a number of persons calling in to say that they are willing to bring in food items, etc., because there's one thing they're going to need, to make up for what they've lost. I'm sure they've lost a lot. So, yes, food and water will be our initial thought going forward. Once the all clear has been given, we have arranged with the Defense Force at this point through NEMA. NEMA will assist us in getting those items to the affected areas.
And still to come, we'll tell you about other stories making national headlines today, so keep it locked.
This portion of the news is brought to you by the new Shell and Leaded, designed for extra miles.